This is James from GameFront, and today I'm gathered with Mark Darrah. He is the executive producer on Dragon Age Inquisition. Say hello.
Hey.
Mark, one question I just want to get out of the way right off the top, and it might be completely stupid. All right, are you okay with stupid questions?
Sure, go ahead.
When I walked in today, they offered me many seats. They said I could go at the PC was what I was set up for. They said there's also PS4 and Xbox One, but they said they'd rather me on PS4. Is there a difference between the two games right now?
Yeah, the PS4 and the Xbox One are slightly different. The PS4 runs at 1080p, the Xbox One's running at 900p.
Cool. Is that something that you think people are going to be able to notice, or is that a small variation?
I think it depends on the person. I personally can't really tell the difference unless I literally flip back and forth like with a debug command. But I think some people can see the difference.
And the other question I was going to have is, what is the frame rate, and is it the same across all consoles and PC?
So we're targeting 30 frames a second on the consoles. On PC, it's very much dependent on your hardware. If you throw enough hardware behind it, you can get it up to 60 and beyond. It's not locked to anything on the PC.
Oh, are you going to be able to run this on low specs if you bring down, like, what is the different quality that you're going to get from different ends of PCs?
Yeah, so at the bottom end, you're going to get something that's a little bit better than an Xbox 360 or PS3. You're getting hardware that's actually, in a lot of ways, very similar to that console. At the upper end, we've had the game running at 4K. We couldn't run it very well at 4K, but I'm pretty sure if you threw more than $10,000 worth of hardware at it, you probably could get it running at a decent frame rate at 4K.
Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of hardware, but I just recently played Dragon Age Origins for the first time on PC, which I was startled to see actually looks really good. My first experience with Dragon Age Origin was on the console,
right.
And I was, no offense, I was not a big fan of it. And part of it was the graphics, but one reason I didn't really like the Dragon Age Origins on console was because of the control system. You've changed the control system drastically. Today I played on I played on the PC the whole time, but I also used an Xbox One controller just to get that sense. Could you talk about some of the changes that you guys have made to make the console version feel more intuitive?
Yeah, I mean, we've changed it in a lot of ways. It is similar to what we've had in the past. It's more that the underlying game systems have changed than the controls themselves have changed. I mean, we actually use on the consoles we use the right trigger as your attack button, which is a change. But overall, they're very similar. The difference is that Origins at its core is a PC game that was ported to the consoles, and since then we've been trying to build something that's more designed for both. DA2 maybe swung things a little bit too far in the other direction and lost some of that PC controllability. Here we're really trying for something that is truly optimized for both platforms.
Awesome. I feel I didn't play it on the consoles, but I feel like using the control system now on Dragon Age Inquisition feels a lot more natural. And I think that the difference is, and I might be wrong, but in my memory, you were selecting a person to attack. And now it feels like you can kind of seamlessly move between the enemies.
Yeah, that's basically true. Because again, like on the PC, you were clicking on things and attacking that way. On the consoles, you used to be basically kind of aiming at something and trying to attack that way. And here, yeah, you're right. You're attacking, and you're able to steer a little bit as you're doing so.
I feel like it's got a lot less of that Diablo 3 feeling of just clicking everything on the screen. You feel like you're really moving. I like the way that the combat's working right now. I feel like the small changes make a big difference.
I think that's really the case. I mean, honestly, it is about nuance, in control schemes really are. That's what makes the difference.
Now, I know that we're not really supposed to hit too much on some of the stuff that was early in the game, but I do want to ask, and I might be out of the loop, is this Dragon Age 3, is this following the storyline after Dragon Age 2?
Yeah, so from a timeline perspective, Dragon Age 2 had a frame narrative, so it essentially takes place over 10 years. There's 3 segments of storytelling that are taking place 2 to 3 years apart, and then there's an outer frame which takes place 10 years after Dragon Age Origins. This takes place a couple of months-ish after that frame. So it literally is happening in the time it took Cassandra and Varric to get here from Kirkwall.
The characters that you can choose from, now you can be a Canary. And maybe I wasn't as into the story as I should have been. I feel like the Canary character that I'm playing right now is so different from the Canaries that I experienced in the previous Dragon Ages. What is the, and maybe I haven't gotten deep enough into it, but how am I playing such a wonderfully pleasant Canary?
Yeah, so you're actually, if you play as a Canary, you're racially a Canary, but you're actually Tal Vashoth, so you're actually raised. You're actually raised outside the Canary philosophy completely. So most of the Canary we've shown up till now have been some form of their attachment to the Kun, which is the philosophy of the Canary, is much stronger. Either they've recently left it or they're still members of it. Here you don't have that basis, so you're much more understandable. You're closer to what normal other humans and elves and dwarves will act. So that's sort of mellowing you out to a large degree.
Cool. And then one question I have on, and I'm not the type of guy that can go in and memorize lore, moves, anything like that. In fact, my memory's terrible. But when I was looking through the spells and the moves and the ability branches, I felt like I didn't really see anything new. Are there some new abilities that I'm missing?
Oh yeah, there absolutely are. We've definitely got a lot of new abilities, like the Firestorm is a new thing. Some of them are variations on stuff you've seen before, but yeah, there are brand new things. We have Blink, which is a short-range teleport for mages.
I didn't get to see that one, but that would be cool.
Yeah, so some of the higher end rogue abilities are getting into very quick movement or stealth or illusionary kinds of things. There's some trap stuff in the Saboteur specialist. So yeah, there's quite a few new abilities, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess that perhaps the early on side, I just wasn't coming across them. I felt like there might be some tree branches that are missing now, though, like an arcane. Was there like an arcane mapping for the trees before?
So there was an arcane warrior as a specialist before. We actually have something similar, but you don't actually unlock your specializations until later in the game. In this game.
Ah, cool. That's exciting. Now, something I didn't get to play and I have a lot of questions about is the multiplayer mode. I can only imagine, because of our space-time continuum, there's not going to be a tactical attack in that. What is the difference? Is it going to follow the same storyline, or is there a completely different setup for multiplayer?
So for multiplayer, you're playing as an inquisitorial agent. You are basically, you and 3 friends are going into a dungeon to do a short mission for the Inquisition. So you're going in, killing monsters, taking their stuff, leveling up, and leveling up within that experience. So you're not actually playing through the main story. It's a separate experience. Trying for something much more bite-sized.
That's great. Does any of the things that you do in that affect the world that you're controlling in single player?
So we don't feed stuff back in terms of like power for the Inquisition, but you will see, as you prestige your specialist, they will show up in your base, and you'll be able to see them there.
That's cool. And another thing, now I'm going to start hitting the things that I'm really excited about. And I don't even understand the first one. When I loaded up the game, it asked me if I wanted to import world settings. Is that importing things from Dragon Age 2 or Origins, or is there something else that we're importing?
So what that actually is that's importing a state from the Dragon Age Keep. We are not doing save game importing directly into Inquisition. Instead, what we have is the Dragon Age Keep, which is a website where you go to set your state of the choices you've made in Dragon Age Origins or Dragon Age 2, and then it builds, you do it through a tapestry or a sort of interactive comic book, and then that results in a state that you can then import, and it sets the starting state for Dragon Age Inquisition.
So theoretically, you could beat the game and then be like, I want to see what this world would have been like if I started with completely different settings. And you don't have to play through the other ones entirely. You can set that up in your own tapestry.
That's right. Exactly right.
That's pretty cool. That's a huge amount of replayability, but considering the fact that this game, as explained to us before, is not only larger in content by physical map size, it's as big as Origins and Dragon Age 2 put together.
Yeah, from a pure word count perspective, it's just like it's got 80,000 lines of dialogue, which is more than we've ever had before. It's a massive game.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that it's massive in my perspective because I've only got to play it maybe 3 or 4 hours at this point, but it does feel a lot deeper than Dragon Age 2, and I'm really impressed with that side of it. One thing and maybe I didn't get to see it much, the character creation felt like it had a lot of cool character classes and character attributes, but is it just the face that you can change of the character?
Yeah, we are not doing body morphs. That's something that's definitely been on our to-do list, and hopefully we can get to it at some point, but for now it's just facial customization, yeah.
But the armor seems to change along with what you're wearing.
Yeah, the armor changes will change based upon, like, I don't actually know what our number of armor combinations is, but it's a lot, based on both different base suits of armor, so you might find a Grey Warden armor or a heavy mercenary armor, and then also most armors have arm and leg slots that will also change their appearance as well. So you can take mercenary armor and put on heavy pauldrons, and then you get something. You get a visual representation there on your arms. Additionally, the colors are picked up by the materials that it's built. So if you're using the crafting system, you get quite a bit of color variation and textural variation in some cases on armors based upon how you build them.
Cool. Final question. Is there any mod support going to happen with Dragon Age Inquisition?
So no plan right now. Frostbite at the moment is not built for sort of leaving the building. Never say never, I guess, but at the moment, no. We won't like go after people. So if people want to try to figure it out, they're welcome to try. But it's much more complicated, I would say, than like games we've had in the past without a tool set.
Great. And so when does it come out, on what systems, and what's the rundown on that?
Okay, so it's November 18th in North America, November 21st everywhere else. I think Japan might be a little bit later. It is on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One, and of course PC.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mark. I really appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to playing Dragon Age Inquisition.